Hello YouTube, I'm Nye from the Finale Guitar Shop in Sheffield and you're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for Celtic backing guitar tutorials. My shop is reopening next week, by the way, if you're in the area, October the 5th, 1pm till 5pm every weekday from there on. In this video I want to show you something really useful. So there's 4 keys that are commonly used, and those are C major, G major, D major and A major. And the reason those are commonly used is because they suit the instruments on which Celtic music is traditionally played. If you have a set of chords which fits with each of those 4 keys, chord shapes which have been picked because you can quickly switch between them, that's going to really enhance your fluidity when you're trying to back at these kinds of tunes by ear. So what I'm going to be doing today is showing you my super speedy C major chord scale. These are 7 chord shapes which I've picked because they are quick and easy to change between at speed, and they all sound really nice with the tunes in the key of C major, C ionian, or any of the other modes which have the same notes in. So those modes which have the same notes as C ionian are the common folk modes D dorian, G mixolydian and A aeolian. So all of these chords are going to be really handy for use in any of those modes I've just mentioned. When I say things like modes, dorian, mixolydian, aeolian, if you don't know what I'm talking about there, you want to check out my videos which explain the music theory behind that. There's 2 of those, you can find them in the corner of the screen right now. That'll take you to part 1, and part 2 is linked from there. So go and check those out if you want to know more about the modes. So let's start with our very first chord scale, which is going to be for C major. The very first chord is going to be, of course, a C major chord. So that looks like this. I don't like to play it with the extra finger at the bottom for 2 reasons. Number 1, I always like to have the root note at the bottom of my chord, unless I don't for some specific reason, which I'll come back to. So having that extra 5th at the bottom I think kind of makes it a bit muddy. And the other reason is that this is easier to play. So that's your first chord. Miss off that bottom string or gently mute it with your 3rd finger. The next chord we're going to use is a standard D minor shape, just like that. With this one you miss off the bottom 2 strings. The next chord I want to show you is an E minor 7 chord. I'm fingering it a specific way to make it easy to change into the next couple of shapes I'm going to show you. So you want your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string down there, and you want your little finger on the 3rd fret of the B string near the top, and that's going to be like that. For that one you can strum all the strings and it sounds like this. Jazzy. The next chord we're going to use, if you've had that fingering for the last one, is going to be very easy to get to, because you're going to maintain your little finger where it is, then you're going to put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, then you're going to add your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your index finger on the 1st fret of the bottom E string, and that's going to give you this really nice F major 7 chord. When I play this one, either you can leave the D string in, which kind of gives it a sort of more fuzzy, jazzy kind of flavour, or you can just gently mute that D string by letting this 3rd finger kind of sit on it and muffle it, like that. The next shape is going to be G. There's several ways of playing this one, but the one that I like at speed is this. So for this is actually a G major add 11, because it's got the open E string at the top of it. But what I'm doing again is using my little finger as a pivot point, and these pivot points are essential to your speed playing, because if you can keep one finger in common between several shapes, then that gives a really clear anchor for your muscle memory to move your other fingers around. So from my F chord, which was like that, I'm going to move my 3rd finger, my ring finger, down to the bottom string. I'm going to take my index finger off, and then I'm going to move my middle finger down to the 2nd fret of the A string. And that gives me this G major add 11 chord. Very nice. Next chord, 2 options for this. One is to keep your anchor where it was, your little finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and just move your middle finger to the 2nd fret of the D string. That gives you a very nice jazzy A minor 11. If you want something that's a bit more definitely A minor-y, then replace that little finger with the first finger on the first fret of the B string, and that's A minor 7. But I really recommend the A minor 11 because that way you've kept your anchor and it's easier to change to that at speed from your G chord. Next thing, from this A minor 11 chord, very simple, just take your middle finger, move it down a string, and that gives you this. What this chord actually is called G/B. It's like a G major chord, except now there is no G at the bottom of the chord, instead there's a B at the bottom of the chord. That's why it's called G/B. What it's actually functioning as is a substitute for the 7th chord in the key of C major. I've talked about this loads in my previous videos and in my book, Backing Guitar Techniques for Traditional Celtic Music, which you can buy at a card in the corner of the screen. Your 7th chord in a major scale is usually going to be a diminished chord. Diminished chords sound horrible. Folk music avoids them because you want these nice homely kind of sounds in your folk playing. You don't want nasty, jangly, angular, horrible chords like this one. So yeah, we're going to use that as a substitute for B diminished. So that gives us our whole chord scale, and what I suggest you do now that you've learned those shapes is practice running through them at speed. So start out by going up the scale, and when you go all the way around from C, all the way back round to C again, do it all backwards. If you want to practice your rhythm at the same time, and the more things you can practice at once the better, because there's only so many hours in the day, then practice it with either a jig strumming pattern, a reel strumming pattern, a polka pattern, or any strumming pattern that you're trying to practice. So I'm going to demo that both ascending and descending using a standard Dada Diddly jig strumming pattern. And if you want to learn this pattern, there's another link in the corner of the screen to my tutorial to play like this. So here we go. We've got C, D minor, E minor 7, F, G, A minor, G/B, C, down again C, G/B, A minor, G, F, E minor 7, D minor, C. Something like that. So by practicing these changes and getting used to playing them at speed and using the little tips about the anchor finger that I mentioned there, you should hopefully be able to get some really nice fluid chord runs out of that, and that's going to be greatly useful when you're trying to back a tune and you want to make some nice fluid progressions between chords both ascending and descending the scale. There is a very quick and easy way that you can find all the chords for any mode and find which other modes take the same chords as it, and that is using the mode wheel. And if you get one of these, you will also get a set of instructions with it which will show you exactly how to use that and the theory behind how the modes work and how you can easily apply that by just using your ears. So I really recommend this. I'm biased because I invented it, but you can check that out in the corner of the screen right now. They're available through my website, Finale Guitar. So that's it for today's clip. I don't want to bombard you with too much information all at once. Go away and practice that chord scale. It'll fit with C major, D dorian, G mixolydian and A aeolian. As I say, if you want to understand more about that, check out my book, check out the mode wheel. Those are both going to be really, really helpful to you for working out how the modes work and which chords fit with tunes in which modes, etc. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you the equivalent for the key of G major. In the one after that, I'm going to do D major, and in the one after that, I'm going to do A major. There's a lot of overlap between some of these, but for each one, there's a slight variant of the chords that I like to use for that key and associated ones, which makes them quicker and easier to play at speed. So that'll be out next Saturday at 12:30 UK time. I also run the Folky Fridays live stream every Friday evening at 5:30. That is a live stream Celtic guitar lesson. Every week I tackle a different topic, from music theory to chord shapes to dadgad to fingerstyle, all sorts. I also have guests every now and again. Tune in for that. If you'd like to find out every week when that's going to be, you can always find links in the Folk Friend Facebook, which is in the box down below. So go and follow that to get more updates on that one. Hit the subscribe button, you'll get all my free tutorials straight to your inbox. That's down there in that corner. And if you could also do me a massive favour, hit the little green thumbs up. That helps me out no end. Leave me a comment, let me know who you are, where you're playing, and I will be back next weekend. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all soon.